Hey, beautiful. Welcome to the Mindset with Mary podcast. I'm your host, Mary. And here we teach busy minds how to live their most authentic life, how to gain confidence, and how to step into their power. Girl, if you've got a busy mind, then stay tuned because each week we're going to dive into topics like mindfulness, resilience, goal setting, self-empowerment, sharing tips and stories to help you navigate life's challenges with grace and confidence. If you're ready to unlock your full potential and create a life you love, grab a cup of coffee, find a cozy spot, and let's embark on this journey of growth and transformation together. Welcome to Mindset with Mary. Trying something new, and we're going to see how it goes. This is going to be my first ever episode tinkering with the idea of creating content around helping those of you like me who are easily distractible and or maybe have ADHD, and helping you be more productive in life and be able to reach your goals, set boundaries, feel more authentic, and just let go of all the crap that's holding us back because we don't understand or realize that ADHD is a superpower and that it actually helps us in so many areas of our life, and we just have to change our mindset and see it that way. So if you are a distractible person or you have ADHD, stick with me and I'm going to dig into a fun topic today, which really is about ADHD burnout and how to avoid that. So having ADHD, it means that our energy levels can fluctuate a lot more than most people. And what maybe we feel like is something manageable that we can take on in one moment may become super overwhelming for us later. And what I mean by this, so stick with me here and maybe this is relatable. I often will add so many things to my to-do list. I wake up one morning and I have an unrealistic amount of energy, like so much energy, and I'm going to take on the world and I'm going to do all these things, and I'm going to, show up to work and do this and this and this, and somebody might ask me if I can help with this and I say yes, and somebody else asks me if I can help with this and I say yes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and then this other idea pops in my head and I'm like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to do this, and I just want to take on the world. Well, guess what? A week later, crash burn, right? So you'll have to, let me know if that is a relatable situation for you. And I love that, it's funny, taking a step back and seeing it from that perspective. You could totally create a meme around this. And I think that a lot of people are going to laugh and giggle and find it relatable because it's so true. When you have ADHD, your emotions are all over the place. Or maybe you don't have ADHD. Maybe it's just, you're very distractible, be able to focus one day and get a bunch done, and then you don't know how to manage your energy. And so really what we have to do is learn how to manage this, because who knows if it's going to be way too overwhelming later down the road. And we want to learn how to build sustainability and not take on projects in an unrealistic sort of way, and take a step back and ask ourselves some questions. So I'm going to walk you through a list of questions and just explain to you why, these are things that you need to ask yourself before you take something on. So number one is, does this feel authentic to me? And typically, when you're in that high energy, you are being more of yourself, right? You have this high energy, you're floating on life. And so most of the time it's going to feel authentic to you. Typically when it's not going to feel authentic to you is if it's something that maybe somebody is asking you to do. It doesn't fall into your lane of work. Maybe you're at work and somebody's like, hey, can you help me with this task? And you're like, oh yeah, sure. And then they walk away and you're like, oh crap. I don't want to do that. Nor is it, anywhere near my responsibility lane, not even on my job description. And here I am, I'm going to do it. I'm going to resent them for it because I'm doing it and they should be doing it. and it really just feels sticky and icky, and or maybe you just don't really want to do it. It's just not something that's going to excite you. It doesn't fall into your lane. And so I think it's important to ask yourself if it does or doesn't feel authentic, and just kind of question that and make sure that it falls into that category. I know that there's always going to be things that we have to do to get us to wherever we're trying to go, right? We have this goal that we're working on. We're trying to lose weight, or we're trying to, just reach a business goal, whatever it is. And there's going to be things in the in-between stages that we have to do that we don't want to do. And so you also need to take that question into the sense of, okay, is the end goal authentic to me? And if that is, if that's the case and it feels authentic to reach that goal, and it truly feels like a thing that I want, and it's part of like who I am and my core values, then okay, let's reevaluate and decide if this is something I really need to do or can take on. Ultimately, you just want to make sure that what you're doing is going to help you reach your long-term goals. And I think that we forget sometimes that the in-between is there, and sometimes it doesn't feel good, and maybe one day you have the energy to take it all on and then you don't the next day. And so asking yourself the question, does it feel authentic? Does it contribute to my long-term goals? Okay. And then you got to start breaking that down. And we'll get into other episodes where we break that down. Okay, yes, I'm taking this on. How can we make this more manageable and sustainable if I am going to take this on, rather than just taking it on and thinking I'm going to get it done right now? I know that the impulsivity of ADHD and trying to just get it off your list and cross it off and move on, but that's not manageable, and nor is it sustainable. And so we have to just pause. Anyways, next question that you really need to ask yourself before you take on a task is, am I doing this for external validation? And this really is just for everybody, speaking in terms of everybody. If you are going to take on a task, like, are you just doing that to get an approval from someone else? Are you doing it to show off something to other people and try to reach other people's approvals? And if that's a case, like, maybe you really need to sit down and think about, okay, I need to really question all of the things about taking this on, because guess what? Here's the thing. If you think, and sometimes we do this so unknowingly, it comes from like a subconscious place and we don't recognize it, especially if you're just a people pleaser and you're unaware of it. It's just so important. And I've lost my train of thought. Hey, welcome to the Mindset with Mary podcast. I have ADHD and I went on a tangent. Can't remember what I was talking about. Let's go back to my checklist. Oh my gosh. Seriously, tell me you have ADHD without telling me you have ADHD. Oh yes. Okay, we're talking about external validation. Okay, we're going to get back on track. I might have to go back and listen to what I was saying. Anywho, tell me that this is relatable or not. You are talking and then lose train of thought. Okay, external validation. Let's get back into it. We have to make sure that we're not doing it for external validation, because it will never create happiness in our life. We reach the goal, and guess what? You're still going to be looking for other external validation to prove your worthiness or to please other people, and it's never going to get you to where you want. You really need to question yourself if you are looking for external validation, and decide, hey, okay, what is it that I really want? What feeling am I looking to accomplish from pleasing other people? And looking for other goals and things that you can work towards that are going to make you feel the way you want to feel without other people approving of you. And I promise your life is going to be so much happier if you can shift that direction. So the next thing to really ask yourself are, what are my internal motivators. So this goes back into that sustainability. So now we're coming back around. We feel authentic, and we know that it's contributing to our long-term goals. It feels true to who we are, and we're not doing it for this external validation. Now you need to step into the question and ask yourself, okay, what's my internal motivators? What part of this project is going to help me stay focused on it? Because that's super important, right? We know that it's easy for us to jump from one project to the next project to the next project because of that, and this is for me, like I can eat the same thing every day over and over and over for 300 days. But on day 301, boom, I'm sick of it. Don't ever want to look at it again. And that's how my projects are. And so what are my internal motivators going to be to help me finish that goal and see it through? Because all of my projects that I've ever started in life, right? Like getting my master's degree, I did not want to do that after about 3/4 of the way through. I hated it. Didn't want to see another course, whatever structure. What are those things called? A course. Well, the words are in there, but they're not coming out. Anyways, I didn't want to do it anymore. And so I had to sit down and remind myself, why did I start this? And what were those internal motivators? And I came to this realization that the internal motivator for me was feeling proud and accomplished and being able to take that master's degree into my career, into the next level of my life. And from that, my why and the reason and the purpose, and knowing that it was going to help motivate my kids and inspire them and just really set the example for my family, helped me make it through every single one of those classes, right? Economics. I had to sit through economics. Oh my God, I hated it. I hated it so bad. And I did. And I did it. And guess what? I have a master's degree now. And then another thing that, I always want to step back out of is this podcast and being in this online space to help other people. And I know that that's authentic to me. And I know that that's what I want to do because I love, love, love helping people. And here I am again, stepping back into it because I had to ask myself, why did I start in the first place? What were the internal motivators? And really just digging into that. So whatever it is that you're working on and your long-term goals, if you're picking up another task and not wanting to get burnt out, I highly suggest just taking a sheet of paper and starting out with, why am I doing this? What are my internal motivators? I'm just listing them out. This is why, this is why, this is why. And I promise you're going to feel so much better a month down the road when you're working on this task and you're wanting to let go and give it up and move on to another project, and being able to see it through. And you're going to be so proud of yourself, because if you're the type of person who's started a project, stopped a project, started a project, stopped a project, when you finally see that project through exactly as you hoped and wanted, that's going to be the evidence that you need for yourself to then later remind yourself in the next project that you're working on that you're actually 100% capable of finishing something, and being so freaking proud of yourself for doing that. And that feeling of being in just this gratitude and appreciation for yourself will without a doubt help be that internal motivator for other projects that you're taking on. And then another thing I think is super important to ask yourself, so last question, is will I be able to sustain energy throughout this project, right? So now you've taken it on and you know what your internal motivators are. I think it's super important to ask yourself, like, will I be able to sustain it? Even though I have this why, even though I know that this is important to me, is this something that I can sustain? Right? So maybe, let's just take on like, okay, I'm going to start taking on eating healthier and I'm going to start meal prepping. Okay. So this is something that I've done in my life, and I did meal prep for a long, long time. But I didn't go through these questions and really ask myself. So the first thing, number one, does it feel authentic to me? Hell yeah. I love meal prepping. I love being healthy. I love taking on all the things, and it 100% contributed to my long-term goals. Wasn't doing it for external validation because I knew my internal motivators, and I knew that it was for me to be healthier, to have more energy for my family, be able to stand in the mirror and be like, hell yeah, girl, you look sexy today. Oh, wow, that was cheesy. Anyways, and then I never asked myself the question, will I be able to sustain energy throughout this? I never asked myself that. And it was no. If I would have asked myself that question, I would have known. No, it's not sustainable for me to do that. I literally go camping in the summer. I leave on Friday. I get back on Sunday late, and then I'm back to work on Monday. How in the hell am I ever going to be able to sustain the energy or time or resources or anything to meal prep every week? Just not going to happen. Maybe in the winter, maybe that can sustain that through the winter, but no, I can't sustain that energy, and I can't expect myself, especially being the type of person who, maximize energy and then push, boom, crash, boom, right? So I think that we just need to ask ourselves that. And if you still want to take it on, maybe you want to, like in my example, like maybe you want to continue to meal prep, finding a way to do it easier. So, and for me with ADHD, I don't meal prep anymore. I just find easier options that are healthy, right? Like I get the frozen veggies, and I know those aren't as healthy as, fresh organic produce, but you know what? Getting a bag of, broccoli, frozen broccoli, and then seasoning up and just something easy for me, that's going to be more sustainable. And so I can commit to that 100%. So anyways, I hope that these questions really helped walk you through really just this ability to not burn out with ADHD and be able to sustain your energy and manage that. So remember, it's okay to prioritize your well-being and your boundaries, and your journey is 100% unique, and so is your approach to managing it. Especially if you have ADHD, it's 100% okay to prioritize your well-being and boundaries. I'll say that again and again and again. Make it your affirmation. It's okay to prioritize my well-being and set boundaries. So, and maybe in another episode, we really can talk about setting boundaries, because it's so often like people ask us these questions like, hey, can you take on this project? Hey, can you do this? And if you're in that like high vibe, energy that we so often can be, yes, you're going to want to take it on then, and you want to be this kind, helpful person, but then you're not going to be able to sustain that later down the road. And so being able to set that boundary and let somebody know like, hey, I would love to 100% help you out with this. However, I just know that it's not sustainable for me to take it on. And so I'm going to have to decline that. And that's gonna be something that's hard. I think it's even hard for myself still. Sometimes I still just take on projects and say yes. It's an uncomfortable thing to tell somebody no. It's so uncomfortable. And so if you have struggles with boundaries or anything like that, please feel free to reach out. I'd love to work with you. We can sit down and talk about what it is and the goals that you want to achieve in life, and just be able to get clear on them, strategize, and help you let go of things that are holding you back, because maybe the boundaries are holding you back. But I also think that we will dig into a whole podcast episode about those boundaries so that you can learn to set them and move forward and accomplish the goals and the things that you want to achieve. So hopefully this episode was helpful. I'd love to hear more about it. So go ahead and leave a review. And if you do, know how appreciated I am of that, because this podcast really is just a way for me to share helpful information and help other people. And if you leave a review, it's going to help people find this podcast and help them if they are struggling in any of the areas that I'm wanting to inspire others to succeed in. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you are following this podcast. If you're not, go and follow it, because then you will get notified next time that there's an episode. Love you so very much. Mwah. Goodbye.